Hello, one and all. Jasper here, joined once again by DJ Fella, and you should all know it at this point. We're here to talk about House of the Dragon, HotD, Episode 6. Care to introduce yourself?
Hello, DJ Fella here, ready to talk about Episode 6 of a HotD.
So, I think I'm starting to reach a point with the series where I'm becoming even more frustrated with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like the writing for the most part of it, I would dare say, is on par with the original seasons. Like the first 4 seasons. But then there are these little nuggets of shit in almost every single episode except the 4th one, I think. The one with where Rhaenyra has sex with Kristen Cole. Like that episode, nothing jumps out to me as purely terrible. But every single other episode has something that just blows my mind in what the fuck were they thinking.
Yeah, so it sounds like you finally come to the same conclusion that I was at last episode.
Yeah.
Like the show, it has so many great moments, so many fantastic scenes, and then it just shits the bed at one point in every episode.
It does its best impression of Amber Heard, I feel ya.
Yeah.
But with that, let's get into the first episode and we can get to those scenes. There's one in particular that really rubs me the wrong way, and there's another that just seems incredibly off.
Okay, and I'll be honest with you. I have no clue what scenes you're talking about.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't feel like any scene in particular was that terrible. I was going to actually say this is the first episode that didn't have a scene that completely shit the bed.
Okay. So I will admit, of all the bed-shitting scenes, this one in particular scene, like the second one is just, I thought it was weird, but there is one scene that I just greatly dislike, and we can get into that one later. So I guess we get started. And so we, of course, start with Rhaenyra delivering her 3rd child.
And I want to immediately bring up, what do you think about the casting for, going from, one actress to the next? And it doesn't necessarily, I don't necessarily mean just Rhaenyra, but, all the characters that got swapped out.
Oh, okay. So, we can kind of touch on all of them one way or another, but going through one at a time, how about as they show up, we can talk about them at that moment.
Okay, so starting with Rhaenyra then.
Okay, and it's kind of hard to judge all of these people because, this is their first episode.
Right.
With that said, I don't have too many issues with Rhaenyra. A lot of people say, she doesn't, look similar enough to the previous actress to really look like an aged up version of her or anything along those lines. Me personally, I've never had that big of an issue. I think it's just harder for me to kind of see these things. It's kind of I've also heard some complaints when a child actor doesn't look at all like the father actor. Those things just don't really hit me one way or the other unless it's incredibly obvious. In this case, though, I don't have any strong complaints against her, nor do I really have any words of praise for her.
Yeah, so my issue isn't that the actress doesn't look enough like the previous one, because, I mean, we had a pretty substantial time skip. My issue is that I feel like they made no attempt to make Princess Rhaenyra age gradually before. During the past 5 episodes, Rhaenyra always looked exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we went over 4 years of what's, one of the most, one of the times when you're going through the most changes in your body. She's in her teenage years. You'd expect her to change physically quite a bit over that time. And I feel like if they had gotten the makeup team or VFX artists to kind of slowly show changes in her in the past episodes, it would have made this jump far less jarring.
Okay. I can understand that, though. I think I feel like it's more like I think you can take like a middle-aged individual and put makeup on them to make them look much older, but I don't know, a part of me thinks that, taking, I think the actress is 18 and she's playing like someone who's 18 or somewhere around that age. I feel like trying to make her age up by 5 years is a bit of a is an interesting task that I don't know if like someone like me would notice, but clearly you did, so there must be some credence to your criticism.
Yeah, I mean, I have faith in costume designers. I think that they could have done something to just, put a gradient on the change.
Yeah.
It's just it's a harsh jump from an 18-year-old to I don't know how old this actress is, but like it's like a slap in the face.
Mm-hmm. And I think I can understand that. I might have been a little bit more prepared because I have seen this actress, not in other things, but I've seen like her costume photos and whatnot, so I was a bit more prepared for the sudden jump.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing is I knew what the next actress looked like. And I still felt it was kind of jarring. So I feel like if you're not like engaging with the show outside of just watching it every week, then this has got to be like a fucking crazy episode to watch.
Yeah. A part of me wonders, like, some of the more casual fans, if when they first start, like, how confused they were with, like, some of the characters. Is like, who the fuck is this bitch?
Yeah. Yeah, I bet so.
But they pretty quickly, after the whole birthing process, pretty much say, yeah, this is Rhaenyra, this is the princess. And apparently, the queen sends for the child, which is bitch move for obvious reasons.
Huge bitch move. And I'm gonna say, I think the Rhaenyra I know would have been like, well, she can come see the baby. If she wants to see the baby, she can come and look at the baby. Instead of being like, all right, I'll take the baby to her.
Yeah.
Like, I get that there's a certain indignance in the act of her getting up right after giving birth and carrying the baby all the way to the queen's room. Like, I get that's sort of defiant, but I'm like, it's not defiant enough.
What if we were to kind of take it in another way? What if she was doing this as a way to say, kind of, like, not really fuck you to the queen, but, lots of people saw her walking and bleeding on the floor with almost every step she took, so maybe if word got around that the queen demanded right after the birth to see the child, and seeing the state that Rhaenyra was in might paint the queen in a bit more of a less generous picture.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that angle.
But that's mostly my headcanon. It's a lot harder to tell what her actual motivations are, or unless we were to watch the writer's commentary, which, no thanks.
Yeah, which, I mean, for me personally, when there's something like that where you're deliberating over a character's reason for doing something, any possible answer, like, if I, as long as I can be like, oh, okay, that makes some sense. I could see them thinking that. That's pretty much good enough for me. I'm not going to be too critical of a show if there is some possible answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but, how far does one take that? Because, for example, if we go back to the previous episode where Kristen Cole beat Joffrey to death, we don't see, like, there are plenty of situations one could probably go through in order to justify why Kristen Cole didn't seem to get any punishment whatsoever. But I still think that that's an important detail that we needed more information on.
Yeah. I mean specifically about a character's thought process.
Okay. Yeah. Alright, but with that, as she's getting kind of cleaned up and taken care of, we see the new actor for Leonor, and, this is my favorite recast.
Yeah, he's definitely a pretty huge improvement.
He puts emotion into his words. He's, so much better!
Yeah, I would agree. And he looks a lot like the last actor.
Yeah, there is definitely a similar look between the two. And I think... part of me thinks he might be pulling off the wig better than most of his family.
I mean, I don't know. They all look ridiculous. But
Now, with that, I really, really enjoyed this next whole scene. Because this is just like 3 minutes of one continuous shot of these two walking over to the Queen's chambers.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, maybe it's because of my theater background, but I have a real soft spot for these long continuous shots with no cuts or changes. We know that the actors had to do this entire thing perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, everyone loves a long shot. There's a name for it. What are these called?
I think that's it, long shots.
Is it? I don't think so. That doesn't sound right.
I mean, either way, it's a very accurate description. So, I don't know if there's a whole lot to talk to about the exact
long take.
Long
take. Yeah, everyone loves a good long take, right?
Yeah, long shot sounds better though.
I disagree.
I have to say though, there was a part of me that was like a little surprised. Remember when she says, when Leonor insists that they go back, to which she says, "No, not unless you wish to carry me down those fucking stairs."
Yeah.
I saw Leonor like start to dip. I was just like, "Oh, this Chad, he's gonna do it," but nah. So I was a little disappointed about that.
Mm-hmm. I didn't see him dip, but I'm glad you got that little moment of excitement out of that scene.
It was excitement and then disappointment.
Right.
But not a whole lot to go into with the entire walk. Eventually they run into Kristen Cole, who got a haircut. Now he's older.
Right? I mean, that's all it takes, really.
And now... Oh, speaking of, we talked about Leonor, kind of like the change and whatnot, but now we get to talk about Alicent's change.
Yeah, which this is one of the worst ones, in my opinion. Like, the actress, I don't know, she just doesn't look right.
I think my issue with the actress is she's too young.
Yeah, like, she looks like the same age as the last actor. I mean, not literally, she's a little older, but yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Well, I feel like giving the time skip in general, this actress would be okay as a middle stage. But as far as I'm aware, this is going to be Alicent Hightower for the rest of the series, and she just does not look old enough at all.
Yeah, and she looks different.
She does.
But she doesn't look that much older.
No. She looks like an older sister.
Yeah, if you told me this was Alicent's older sister, I'd be like, oh, okay. I can buy that.
That's way more believable. So, eventually she kind of sits down, and then The Walking Dead shows up.
That seems a little mean. He doesn't look that bad. He just kind of look like a White Walker.
He walks in, missing an arm. His hair's like kind of falling out, and his face looks like he just walked through a furnace.
I mean, he's in rough shape. I don't think anyone's debating that.
Man, it almost breaks my heart to see him like this. A part of me wants him to just kind of keel over, but I know right when he keels over, shit hits the fan. So it's like, live as long as possible, but it sucks.
Yeah, but also if he actually did something worthwhile, then when he keeled over, shit might not hit the fan.
You're right. If he died a lot sooner. But at this point, I think it's too late. Now, some interesting information here and there. She asks what the child's name is going to be, and Leonor pretty much says Joffrey, after his boy toy.
Yeah.
And she makes the comment, not a very Valerian name, but There's reason, obviously, for the motivation for the name.
Yeah, I mean, and they don't linger on that for too long. Like the princess is mildly annoyed by it for a little bit, but that's about it.
What's kind of interesting is that in the books, Leonor wanted to name his first child that, but Corlys, his father, said no. And then he wanted to name the second child that, and Corlys again forbade it. It took the third child for Corlys to finally say, fine, you can name this one Joffrey.
So did he get to choose all the kids' names, or was there some collaboration with Rhaenyra?
There's not a whole lot of detail in it. I would say that, if he wasn't allowed to name it Joffrey, then he would have been like kind of fine with any name. So I wouldn't be surprised if, Rhaenyra or Corlys or some mixture of everyone. Kind of like in general, everyone probably has a little bit of input, but by the end of the day, it probably was Rhaenyra and Corlys, I guess, because Joffrey wasn't an option.
Yeah. Fair enough. And so then we get Alicent talking to what's his name again?
Laenor.
Laenor. Talking to Laenor. And she drops the fucking line, what was it? Do keep trying, Sir Laenor. Sooner or later you may get one who looks like you.
Yep, and that's a line ripped right from the book, and I love it.
Like, goddamn. This line perfectly captures, like, that Alicent is a completely different character now.
Mm-hmm.
She's no longer has very much good in her. She still has some good in her, but she is going in on Laenor and Rhaenyra this entire episode.
The claws are officially out.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. It's definitely kind of interesting because I feel like we are now kind of changing, because I think, with the original cast, I think a lot of us were very sympathetic to Alicent in regards to Rhaenyra, because Rhaenyra was, I feel like whatever your thoughts on the character, kept fucking up over and over, and especially lying to Alicent's face on that regard when I think their friendship was starting to kind of grow. I can understand why the tables are kind of turning in such a manner.
Yeah, the Alicent was nice to the princess at every opportunity, and the princess was whiny and an asshole at every opportunity, except for one. And basically, I'm just surprised it didn't happen sooner.
Yep. So we get them kind of walking out, and she seems pretty uppity about not having a say in the child's name, though I feel like this is a bit off, especially because we don't know the whole naming situation with the first two. Because presumably she had final say in that, since Laenor wanted Joffrey.
Yeah, or maybe in this timeline, Corlys shot Joffrey down before he even had the chance to bring it up to anyone. I don't know.
Maybe. But with that regard, though, we do get a little bit of an interesting scene as she kind of walks away from Laenor. We see the trail of blood that she was leaving. So, just two little things I feel like I should mention, though they're not a big deal. I don't recall seeing any blood during the long cut, or that was what was it again?
The long take.
Long take. I don't recall, because there was one moment when they're walking up the stairs where you can kind of see where she's been walking. No blood, so that's a little bit inconsistent, I think.
Oh, it does have a cooler name than long take.
Oh, what is it?
A oneer.
I don't know.
Because you gotta get it. You gotta get it in one shot, so it's a oneer.
I don't know if oneer's a better name. It's better.
Oneer is more dramatic.
It's funnier. I like saying it. Oneer. Anyways, back to the blood. So there was that inconsistency, and then she walks out.
I don't think that's an inconsistency. I think she started bleeding in the queen's room.
Is that just something that starts and stops?
I don't know, but it could be.
Well, my next issue was going to see, we see the trail coming out, but there's no trail going in. So, I don't know. Maybe one of the female watchers, which is unlikely because 99% of my audience is male, but maybe one of them knows the answer to this.
I mean, I'm just gonna assume, since I don't know, that in all likelihood the writers probably know better than me on that one.
Maybe. But now we get to see the strong kids hanging out with their father.
Yeah. And apparently these stupid-ass idiots don't even realize that's their dad.
Well, to be fair, they're still young, so it probably isn't a thought process that jumps to their mind. And
I'm not saying that it's wrong that they're stupid-ass idiots. Most kids are stupid-ass idiots.
well,
You know what I mean?
to be fair, the older one picks up on it.
Was it the older one? I thought it was the middle. Or the older one picks up on it, like, earlier in the episode?
Well, because there's that one moment where he asks the mother if he's if Harry
Yeah.
Strong is his father. Is he a bastard?
Right, I thought that was the middle one.
Was it the middle? I don't know. They both have bowl cut hair, brown
Yeah,
hair.
they look the same. They're the same kid as far as I'm concerned. I don't even know either of their names.
We'll find out when we make it to that scene. But, this is obviously the scene using to kind of set up that Harris Strong is the father.
Wait, is his name Harris?
Harris?
I thought it was Harwin.
Harwin, sorry.
Okay.
Maybe
Just wanted to make sure I wasn't completely off.
I'm the one who always makes a big deal about getting the names right, but fuck it. Anyways.
So, I feel like they could have done something to foreshadow the princess and Harwin's relationship before this episode.
You are correct, because all we got before then was Harwin busting some heads and then throwing her over her shoulder and taking her off. Did they just go straight to the bedroom after that?
Yeah, they literally had 2 scenes together in the whole show. They had the scene where she's walking through the alley, or running through the alley away from Damon, which obviously wasn't very romantic, and the scene where he, grabs her and pulls her away from the fight, which also not very romantic. Where did this romance spring up from?
The book doesn't exactly have a whole lot of detail either on this matter. So it does definitely feel like maybe we needed kind of one more episode with the previous actors and whatnot to kind of set some things up, build up one way or another, and some other aspects, as well as maybe giving Kristen Cole some repercussions for what happened. But anyways, I'm still salty about that.
Yeah, this is the biggest time skip in the show so far, and as a result, it's going to be the hardest time skip to manage, and I feel like there's a lot of important parts of characters that just got left in the dust, that just got tossed into the time skip that we're never going to get.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, at the same time, because of the time skip, they can justify these kind of big sweeping changes. But at the same time, the eldest kid is like 10 years old or so, and that's roughly the time skip, so obviously not long after the marriage, these two got together.
Yeah.
But with that all squared away, I do think they do a good job of kind of like setting up everything, and I'll be honest, I think Strong here, he's gotten a lot of time to shine. He didn't really have anything until this episode, and it's a shame. This is like his only real big moments.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she is all right. He plays his part. He never blew me away or anything. Like, I think he did fine.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just a sucker for like doting fathers and whatnot.
And a doting father he is, for better or worse.
To the detriment.
Yeah.
All right, but next, unless there's anything else you want to go over on this scene?
No, I'm good.
All right. Now we get to the Dragon Pit.
Yep, and we get the super cool dragon tamers. Wearing all their cool armor and shit.
Yay.
They definitely don't look like shepherds.
The Dragon Shepherds.
That's what they should call them.
So now, as a book reader, I have like my kind of questions and confusions, but I want you to, like, as a non-book reader, kind of say, do you feel anything kind of off, or is there anything you want to talk about one way or another?
Anything off? The dragon is no. Nothing struck me as being particularly wrong.
So this was just kind of my thing, and to be fair, it's a very small nitpick, like many of my nitpicks, but it's related to the instructor who speaks Valerian.
Mm-hmm.
There's a translator.
Yes.
Why?
Okay. Yeah, that did confuse me a little bit. Not apparently enough for me to note anything, but it did. Like, why can't the kids speak Valerian when they have been getting taught it?
Yeah, it's like both ways, one way or another. Like, the kid probably should be able to speak Valerian because his mother is fluent in it, and the Dragon Keeper probably should be able to speak the common tongue if he lives in Westeros.
Yeah, I guess that is the other thing, is it implies that he cannot speak common tongue.
Mm-hmm. Which is common.
Like, why is this guy in charge?
Well, because
he can't even talk to the people he's supposed to be, like, communicating with.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Presumably everyone here speaks High Valyrian, but so that's not the big issue. My issue is mostly with the kid not knowing one way or the other. But yeah.
Well, I guess this guy is probably from the island or whatever, where you said black people exist.
Summer Islands, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe they don't speak the common tongue there. I don't know.
That's the whole thing. The reason it's called the common tongue is because it's common. But yeah. But as far as like Summer Islanders speaking High Valyrian, that's not going to be incredibly common. To be fair, though, I'm very open for diversity in these situations, because King's Landing being like a harbor of trade and whatnot, it's only natural that it be incredibly diverse in one way or another. So having having a person from the Summer Islands come to Westeros, maybe he learned High Valyrian, but he doesn't know the common tongue, so there's some credence to it one way or another.
That sounds like insanity. I was with you. I was with you for a lot of that, but coming to King's Landing and being like, all right, I need to learn a language so I can communicate with people. And then choosing High Valyrian?
Well, no. I'm thinking... So, we're going really into this guy. So, I'm thinking maybe in his younger days, he's from the Summer Islands. And that's making an assumption. For all we know, his ancestors are from the Summer Islands, but he grew up here in Westeros. But then he would speak the common tongue if he grew... Never mind. Fuck it.
That's what I was going to say. Like, who is this man?
Okay.
Who is this man from the Summer Islands who speaks only High Valyrian?
Moving on! So we get, him, telling the kid he needs to be a bit more commanding and whatnot, and eventually he gives the command Dracarys, and Vermax burns that goat and starts digging in.
Mm-hmm.
And then all three of the lads, because the two Strongs and the older Aegon all have dragons. However, this middle child, Aemond, does not. And so they play a little bit of a mean prank on the lad.
Yeah, they're like, we found a dragon for you, and then it's a pig.
Oh, got him! That's hilarious.
Yeah. Which I found it kind of interesting that it's the king's second son who gets bullied instead of, one of the bastards. I figured one of the bastards would, get picked on for being a bastard.
I mean, trust me, there's still that, obviously. But, there is, some credence to this, since he's the only one, he's really the only Targaryen, I think, with no dragon. Even including, many of the Valerians. The Valerians have more dragon riders and whatnot. And he's, the only one with Targaryen blood and whatnot who doesn't have a dragon at this point.
Yeah.
Aside from, one of the Daemon's kids, who we can talk about a little bit later. But this kind of spurs him to head on down into the dragon pit. Very lucky that none of the dragon keepers see him walking in down here.
Yeah, apparently those dudes are just infatuated watching the dragon dig into that goat.
But eventually Aemond comes across a dragon. Not sure which one, because there's a lot.
And I'll be honest, I thought for sure this kid was going to die.
Oh, you thought... That'd be the quickest death I've ever seen.
I mean, it seems like the perfect thing that would be like a little anecdote in the book. They'd be like, yeah, and when the king's second-born son got torched by a dragon. Because he was a little idiot and went into the dragon pit when he shouldn't have.
Nope. He is not destined for death yet.
Yeah, because I don't know. I figured it wouldn't be that big a deal if he was just an inconsequential character. He's just, he's the second son. Who cares if he gets torched?
Yeah. So now, the next scene, we get... who I believe this is Helena Targaryen. We never actually get her name, but this is presumably the second child of Viserys and Alicent.
Which they do say her daughter's name later on in the episode, but you're right, in this scene they don't.
Yeah, and it's just a weird scene where she's talking about bugs.
Yeah, like I tried to really piece out like a meaningful metaphor for anything that's going on in the show out of this, but I got nothing.
I will say there is a particular line that happens that kind of foreshadows an event.
It is beyond our understanding?
No.
Oh.
It is beyond your understanding. I understand it all.
No, I mean that line.
I know. But it's not that one. But I'm not going to tell you which one it is.
Oh, fair enough.
But eventually, Aemond is brought back in. And he kind of tells, oh, they picked on me and all that. And he gets a little bit of a scolding from Alicent.
Yeah, until she hears about the pig. And then she's like, God damn, them kids are savages. They fucking roasted you.
But now, here, we're getting a bit more of a consequential scene. As Alicent goes straight to King Viserys and says, those childs are miscreants and monsters and all that stuff, talking all sorts of shit.
Yeah, that seemed crazy to me. Like she is talking straight shit directly to the king.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think given their years together, I think that she's more confident with like speaking in these regards one way or another. And
I mean, I guess.
And let's be fair, like Viserys has had his like kind of harsher moments, but they haven't really been incredibly depicted in the show. Like the closest we have is when he like banishes Daemon and like kicks him and whatnot.
Yeah. I would say every time he banished Daemon was a good example.
Yeah. But
although he clearly didn't back that up too hard. So he had to do it multiple times. Usually a banishment's a one-time thing,
Mm-hmm. But she kind of brings up the whole, obviously they're bastards. To which Viserys has a very, very interesting story where a black mare and a white stallion or whatever fucked, and a chestnut horse came out. And there are two issues with that. So, Alicent obviously brings up, the issue of, did you ever see these two horses have sex? Which, fair enough. But, I don't know horse genetics, granted. But the chestnut hair still makes some sense, because that's in between white and black.
Chestnut is not in between white and black.
Isn't it?
And that's not how hair genetics work at all. It's not like you mix them up like paint.
I guess you're right. So what they needed to do was they needed to shave the horses to see what was actually going on.
Are you saying the skin color would be more telling?
Well, anyways, but first off, are you sure? Isn't chestnut like a brown color?
Yeah, but white and black don't make brown.
You sure?
Yes. What do you mean? Am I sure?
I'm having trouble.
Did you fail kindergarten art class?
I never was that good. I'm looking up chestnut, but all I'm getting is a fucking Pokemon. Anyways, moving back onto the show. So, by the end of it... Now, I have a question for you. Do you think Viserys believes they're legitimate? Or do you...
No.
Oh, you think...
There's no way. Because the show has made it so obvious that it's impossible for them to be legitimate. They removed the precedent that some Targaryens or Valerians can have brown hair by making the queen have silver hair.
Mm-hmm.
And the princess is married to a black man.
And all
Her
those
children
kids are
are-
crackers.
Their children are all white. Bunch of honkies. So, like, there's no way anyone could have any doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Which, it almost seems ridiculous that Viserys would even try to protect. Like, you have to do something, Viserys. These are clearly bastards. Everyone can see it.
Well, that's
You can't just ignore it.
Well, that's kind of my thought process. I thought he was so blinded by his, like, just love and devotion to his daughter that he legitimately does think that those are legitimate heirs.
I think if that was the case, he wouldn't have sent his daughter the Plan B potion in episode 4.
Maybe.
Like, that time he was willing to accept his daughter slept around. So I don't see why he wouldn't be willing to accept that this time.
Yeah, but if that's the case, like, obviously this is, like, different from the books, but I don't know. I can't... I've donked on Viserys' like intelligence as a king, like we both have on several occasions. But even I give him credit that if he truly did think that those were bastards, that especially with the looks and whatnot, there's no way that he would think it's a good idea to continue on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is I would say this. What is happening here in my eyes is the writers making Viserys extra stupid in order to cover up the massive plot issues presented by changing the race and genetics of various characters.
Yeah. The thing is, though, they could actually have solved this to a certain extent if they just made the Strongs, like, black and hired, black actors. Then you can still have the kids have the dark hair and whatnot, and like, the bastardry is still kind of a mystery.
Yeah, and if they'd made the Strongs black and then also given the queen, who never was, darker hair, like that would have there's no reason not to do that. The writers said that the idea of putting another white family in the show made them sick, so there you go. Perfect opportunity to take out another white family.
Yeah, see? That's what we need, more race swapping.
Yeah, just solve the race swapping by race swapping.
I mean, honestly, I think they probably should have just made everyone black, right?
That could have helped. It would have been extremely confusing how we got from that to Game of Thrones. But for the show itself, it would have helped.
Mm-hmm. Alright, but eventually, Viserys pretty much tells Alicent, don't speak of this, ever, and that's pretty much his way of saying, like, in a way, like, what I say is law, those kids are going to be the next. So, I do think you are correct. I think my thought process of trying to make Viserys blinded by his love for Rhaenyra doesn't hold much water.
Yeah. Which actually, that reminded me of a thought I had earlier. Couldn't Rhaenyra have married Strong? Like, he's highborn enough. He's more highborn than Alicent, isn't he?
I would have to delve into a bit more on the Strongs, because the Strongs are lords of Harrenhal. And Harrenhal is a prestigious seat. Here's the thing, though. Families of Harrenhal have a history of not being that great. Like, what I mean by that is, like, you usually, like, never hear of them, and then, like, someone does really good and they're given Harrenhal, and then they all die out. And then someone else pops out of nowhere and is given Harrenhal. So, like, as prestigious as Strong might be as rulers of Harrenhal, they probably don't have, like, the same general lineage, or as well as wealth and political influence as the Valerians by comparison.
Well, certainly not the Valerians. Like, the Valerians were obviously, like, the most powerful option. But I'm saying, like, Rhaenyra was doing, like, her, courting thing where she was going around having dudes propose to her. Like, if Sir Harwin had proposed to her, would she probably would have said no?
That's the thing. I think in the books, both the Strongs did make passes and offers, but were declined.
And then she was like, I don't want to marry you. I just want to fuck you.
Yeah.
And caused a dance of dragons.
Something along those lines.
Like, it just yeah, if she had just married the dude she wanted to fuck in this case, it would have solved a lot of problems. It would have created some problems, for sure. Like, the Valerians would have probably been pretty pissed.
Yeah. I don't know if it would definitely solve this problem. But
yeah.
I still think if she, married the Strong, war was inevitable still.
Well, and so the other thing, now that we're talking about solving problems, I thought when she was first talking to her husband in the last episode before they were married, and she was like, we'll do our duties, and then we'll go eat the duck we want to eat, or whatever she said.
Obviously, they didn't really do that well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought that she was basically saying, you'll knock me up, give me a proper heir, and then we won't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, and they fucked that up 3 times.
Yeah, I'm like, did they ever even have sex? Did they ever even try?
Like, is it that... Is it that...
What are you doing? You gotta try and cover this shit up a little bit.
I will say that in the books, it said throughout their entire marriage that Laenor and Rhaenyra shared a bed probably at most a dozen times.
But shared a bed...
Yeah.
Do they mean had sex, or do they mean, like, they went into the same room together to pretend?
Either one, I think, is justifiable. I think in this case, they're saying, they couldn't have had sex more than 12 times.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, that is not enough.
Well, and as soon... Rhaenyra shouldn't have had sex with anyone else until he got her pregnant.
Yeah.
So that way she could make sure her firstborn child was a legitimate child. Because then she can have as many bastards as she wants, and it might not look great. It might not be a great look, but at least she has a legitimate heir.
Mm-hmm.
That is not in question anymore.
Yeah. Definitely would help. But, let's getting back onto the topic at hand with the scenes that we're going. We're finished with Viserys and Alicent, and now we get Alicent and Criston Cole, where Alicent is pretty much just venting to Criston. It's like, God damn all this bullshit. And Criston has become a very... I believe the correct...
Bitter.
Yeah, I was going to say vindictive, but bitter as well.
Yeah, he seems really bitter here to me.
What I kind of like is how when he calls her a spoiled cunt, and they just freeze. Alicent is like, come on, I hate her, but dude, that's our word.
Right? Yeah, only Australians can drop the C-bomb. All right, Cole? You're not from the land down under there.
Luckily, he apologizes, so he avoids cancellation.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah, not a whole lot to dig in here, I believe. Just kind of establishing, I feel, Criston Cole, re-establishing Criston Cole and how he's seeing the whole situations go.
Yeah, I think just kind of just giving us a scene to show us where Cole is as a character after the time skip.
Mm-hmm. And the next one, what the fuck?
We get Aegon beating it out the window.
So I kind of said there were 2 scenes. This is the first one that I'm not a fan of at all.
Yeah, and then Alicent shows up, and she does not acknowledge what she just witnessed.
The worst part is, she stands there and watches for a bit.
Does she? Can you see her in the background for a bit?
Yeah. It's a little fuzzy, but you can still kind of see the outline. So it's like she's just...
She is. She's just standing there watching her son beat it out the window.
Yeah, for like a solid 5 seconds, give or take.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's probably a sight that takes a moment to process.
Oh, God. I don't know. Like, also, just... Why there? Like, is he doing it because he wants, the risk of getting seen? Or is he doing it because he likes the risk of almost falling off? Or what? I don't...
Maybe a combination of all of it. Don't kink shame him.
I will. God damn it. Especially because I don't know how old this actor is, so I feel uncomfortable seeing his ass.
He's got to be 18. There's no way they're showing someone under 18's ass.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyways. I'm going to be like Allison and pretend that doesn't exist. Alright, so she just straight up just like, the pig, was it your idea? And he, of course, says, no, it was the half-brothers, the Strongs. Though, obviously he doesn't say the Strongs.
Oh, dude, this guy's old. How is this guy... He was born in 1995.
Dude's 28? Or 27?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there?
27? Yeah, age 27 years. That's insane. Because this dude perfectly sells teenager.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like a teenager.
Good for him.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, he'll look amazing when he's 60.
Yeah.
All right.
Unless there's another time skip, and I'm looking at the actor after, because that looks like it's a completely different actor. I gotta be looking at...
Yeah, because I bet you're right, because I've heard some stories that the grown-up actors, that the actors playing the children are actually older than the actress for Alicent.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ty Tennant. No, this is him now. Which this guy's only 20. Okay, that makes way more sense.
That's a bit more reasonable. I'm just glad I didn't see a pre-teen ass. Anyways. So she starts to scold him with the prank, saying, you can't do that to your brother. To which he just says, my brother's a twat.
Mm-hmm.
And so Alicent starts to pull a little bit of the Otto Hightower speech and drill...
Which, I'm not a fan of the way she starts the speech. Because she says, you're nearly a man grown. How is it that you can be so short-sighted? I'm like, bitch, it took your father literally spelling it out to you for you to realize the dangers your children were gonna be in. So how are you gonna now act like this kid is stupid for needing you to do the same thing?
You were 18 with kids before you figured it out.
Right, like, that being said, they're both stupid, because, like, no shit they're in danger. But Allison's pretty hypocritical there.
Yeah, but a little bit of hypocrisy never killed a character.
No. We're all hypocrites.
In one matter or another. But then, we are off in Pentos, where Damon and...
Whoa.
Oh, do you want...
I think I had another note. Let me see.
In regards to the conversation between Alicent and Aegon?
Yeah. So, like, this conversation... Doesn't it feel out of place to you?
In what regard? Because I would say that, in general, it does feel like, she probably would have been drilling this into him a bit longer, but this feels like the first time they've had this conversation.
Exactly. That's what my feelings exactly is, that this is something that she should have been teaching him since, like, the moment he was able to keep a secret, I guess. Like, as soon as he was old enough to process this, she should have been drilling it into him. He needs to think of, like, the princess and everyone else at King's Landing as, like, enemies that he has to overcome. But because of the time skip, they couldn't do that, right? They needed a scene where she does that. I don't know. I feel like there's... I don't know if it's because they wanted to make him look like an idiot, or if they wanted to just have the scene where Alicent spells it all out for him. I don't know. It just... It didn't feel like a scene that should be happening at this stage in the story.
I could say you could probably make the whole kind of situation, or how I kind of have it played off in my head, is that, over the years, Allison has been kind of like trying to drill this into her, but she's been taking a bit more of a passive kind of situation to it until like this moment where I think she just kind of snaps and like digs it into him in a much more harsh manner.
Which that would be fair enough, and would kind of justify how hypocritical she was earlier if she had already been, hinting at it in the past.
Yeah. With that said, though, this doesn't strike me as something one hints at.
No, especially I don't think you go from hinting to literally spelling it out like that, that quickly. I think this Allison that we're seeing right now would have been very blunt with him from a fairly early age.
Yeah, most likely. Are you ready?
Now I'm ready.
All right. So now we're off in Pentos, where Damon and Lena are flying around on their dragons, and oh my god, we get to see Vermax.
I wish we got more scale looks at Vermax, because we see like a lot of up closes of him, but like it's hard. Like I'm just looking at a dragon, so it's hard to get a grasp of the scale.
Oh wait, no, is that Vermax?
I don't know the dragon's name.
Oh fuck!
I was just going with what you said.
No,
Isn't it like
no.
Rhaegal?
No. It's not Vermax. Oh man, I'm gonna be killed for this. Everyone watching this is gonna kill me. I can just tell it. No, it's not Rhaegal, because Rhaegal was Daenerys's.
Oh, what? Really?
Yeah. Because it was named after Rhaegar Targaryen, her brother that she never met.
Then yeah, I've got no clue.
Vermithor, was that it? What the fuck is its name?
Is it Tyraxes?
Not Tyraxes. Vagar, that's it.
Vagar, you're right. That sounds right.
Man, that took me way too long to recall. Anyways, Vagar. And I really like the design. I do think you're right. Maybe it's easier for me because from the books I do have a general idea about the scale. But I do think it does a decent job in showing it because we see Daemon and Lena on their backs. And you can see that Daemon looks a lot bigger on his dragon by comparison. So it's that kind of like similar scale. Because because what she's riding is currently the oldest and most powerful dragon.
Right. I understand. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like if we'd gotten a good scene where the dragon's like standing next to Daemon's or something, we could really get an idea of how fucking big it is.
Mm-hmm. And Daemon shows off his, fireproof.
Yeah, he just flies through the fire.
Yeah.
But before he flies through the fire, what's her name? Lena lets out the wimpiest Dracarys I've ever heard. Which is impressive because her brother let out a pretty fucking pathetic Dracarys in episode 3.
I was going to say, are we sure it was more pathetic than her brother?
Yeah, I think it was more pathetic than her brother. It was pretty bad.
It
hurt me to listen to. Which, later on in the episode, she gives much better Dracaryses. So I don't know why they didn't do like a retake on this one, because it's gross.
Maybe it's because it's not a wartime Dracarys. I think we can give her it's a fun Dracarys. So don't try and kill things.
I don't know.
But hey, you were talking about wanting to see like a proper scale. I think another scene that does that is like right when we get to like kind of the Pentoshis looking up at the dragons. We see Vagar fuck, am I messing it up again?
You might be fucking it up again. Vagar doesn't sound right anymore.
No, it is Vagar. It is
I feel like
Vagar.
I'm losing my mind.
It is Vagar. I'm right.
Okay.
So we see Vagar fly over them all, and then we have Damon on his dragon flying right after. And Vagar seems to be quite more monstrous in size.
Yeah, but again, like with stuff like that, it's like, how close is he?
Mm-hmm.
Since I don't have any idea of how big he is, I don't know how close he is.
Right. But we then skip to a little bit of a feast, and the Pentoshi are clearly trying to talk these two into living with them, so that way they can help defend Pentos from the Triarchy, which just makes sense, of course. And
Right.
Lena doesn't seem too interested, but Damon, however, is considering it at the very least.
I would say he seems very interested.
Mm-hmm. Not wanting to deal with, like, all the bullshit of Westeros.
Which I kind of get, but also, are they trying to convince me that Daemon gave up on the throne?
Yeah, I think this is a situation of him lying to himself as much as to everyone else around him.
Yeah. I would agree.
But I don't think there's a whole lot to delve into, because this is clearly kind of like just giving us an idea about his relationship with Lena, as well as not really the kids. Doesn't really have any kind of scene with them, does he?
He has a couple scenes with the kids. Or he has at least a scene with the daughter that has a dragon. Well, not really a scene, but a moment.
Okay.
He has a moment with the daughter that has a dragon.
Okay, maybe I'm having troubles just bringing it up, but either way, it's clear at the very least they disagree on wanting to stay in Pentos. She wants to go back. Oh, and yeah, he was reading a book with her. There we go.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
So, obviously, she wants to go home back to Westeros eventually, which, assumably, they've been gone for a long time, right?
I don't know.
You know it.
Because she says she wants her daughter to be born in the, whatever the castle is. Driftmark. So are we assuming that her other daughters were born in Driftmark?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I'm accidentally using book knowledge to justify things. So in the original, when Daemon married Laena Velaryon, they kind of just went off to Pentos because they knew that Viserys would not be happy about this, and they just spent like their honeymoon flying around the free cities visiting everyone. Until eventually she got pregnant, and she gave birth to the twins in Pentos, which is where they're at right now, I believe.
They're twins?
Yes.
Oh, they look... Like, doesn't the one look quite a bit older than the other?
They might have changed it in the show, but in the books they're twins.
Okay.
And right after they're born, they sail and start living at Driftmark. So...
Oh, okay.
So this
is quite a bit different then.
Yeah. So it seems like maybe they haven't been away from Westeros for that long, but in that case she seems frustrated with how long they've been gone for. Maybe they stayed at Driftmark for a bit and then have only been traveling around the free cities for a couple of years. But that's just me with my conflicting book knowledge. It's not that detrimental or drastic as far as changes from the source, or in your case for the show.
Yeah. I guess my impression just from watching the show is that they've been there for like a year or two.
Okay. So yeah, nothing, destroying or anything. But they continue to kind of argue about what to do.
Mm-hmm.
They have a couple of, good lines. There was a moment where I actually was beginning to believe Daemon was just, done with all this shit going on in Westeros and wanted to, just live in the free cities. But, nah, it's Daemon.
Yeah, it's Daemon. But Daemon does have, at the end, when he basically doesn't answer her question and just, gives her a look like, all right, we're done talking now. Like, God, he's still such a dick.
Yeah. I just realized, though, kind of talking about this scene, I feel like a lot of their other scenes are just kind of this on repeat.
Yeah, not a lot of importance happens
But,
until their last scene.
yeah, obviously their last scene is a bit different. But we're back in King's Landing, where the lads are training under the tutelage of Kristen Cole.
Uh-huh.
So, obviously, I got my kind of thoughts in general about this, but what are yours, if you don't mind me asking?
The only real note I took on this is Cole has become a serious dickhead.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was such a good boy. What happened to our Cole? One thought breaks his heart, and now look at him.
Yeah, he is kind of unjustly punishing the bastards.
Uh-huh.
Arwen, for better or worse, this is probably his biggest scene.
Yeah.
It was somewhat satisfying for him when he inevitably beats the shit out of Kristen.
Yeah, but Cole lets him.
Oh yeah, big time.
I was kind of hoping we get to see like a legit fight between the two,
Rather than a sucker punch.
yeah, rather than just Cole, antagonizing him to get him to hit him on purpose, basically.
Mm-hmm. And we have Viserys kind of like being blind to everything that's going on, as he's like, look at all those lads training together. They're going to be fine brothers. They're going to get along greatly.
Yeah, which just more of him, lying to himself.
God, if you lie to yourself so much that you believe it, is it really a lie or just stupidity?
I mean, it's definitely stupid to lie to yourself. I think that's true.
We get some unfair tutelage from Kristen as he pairs Aegon against Jacaerys. And obviously, because he's older, he does really good. But Jacaerys,
He comes back at it.
yeah, he holds his own. But that's because of them strong genes.
Yeah, and Aegon's got he's got 45-year-old sperm DNA.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the most potent.
And so, and it was kind of interesting. I thought it might have developed in a different situation once Harris. Not Harris. That's Harris Harlaw.
Harwin.
Thank you. Harwin grabs Aegon and kind of pushes him away from his son, and Kristen even brings it up. Putting hands on the prince is quite serious. Apparently, you can bitch slap a king, but hands on the prince, no, sir.
Who bitch slapped a king?
Cole. I mean, king consort.
Oh yeah, he did. He did bitch slap a king consort.
Yeah, which I know I keep bitching about that, but then eventually when Strong starts beating Kristen Cole, he's punished for it.
He is.
And
he is.
Nobody died from this.
Right? Yeah, Cole still has his face intact.
But eventually, after some poking and prodding from Kristen, Strong loses it and assaults him. And then we get a scene where it's kind of brought to Rhaenyra's attention, but we don't really see her kind of say anything about it one way or another. I actually thought... And it seems weird. It seems like this is just mentioned to her, so she goes through her secret door and eventually gets to the Strong rooms where she can listen in, which I felt was entirely pointless.
Yeah, because they don't say anything that she doesn't know.
Yeah, just have, if you're not trying to, give this information to a character who shouldn't know it, then just shoot the scene with just the father and son.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really think about that, but you're right. Why did we need her to eavesdrop on that? And why did we need to see the scene from her perspective, eavesdropping on it?
It just seems off, and I think it is a detriment because now it's just kind of, and it's really weird because now we have, because of how we're shooting the scene, the actors aren't looking at each other, and it comes off awkward as Harwin is just gazing off into nothing, presumably, and his brother's just talking to the back of his head.
Yeah, and rather than focusing on the characters having this really dramatic moment, we're just kind of focused on the princess. She just kind of listens.
Yeah. Aside from all that, and granted, it's a pretty big issue that I have with the scene with the father and the son, I feel for the most part, when it comes to the writing and acting, is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty much...
I wish we'd gotten, better shot, scenes for their acting. Better shot point of views.
Oh, yeah.
To see their acting more.
Yeah, but it pretty much lays out that, everyone kind of knows the whole bastardy situation, and the only thing keeping the whole thing from burning up is the Viserys being blind to it.
Yeah, Viserys just being in complete denial.
But yeah, I for the most part enjoyed this scene. Overall, I think it was a good one.
Yeah, I agree. Could have been better, but it was all right.
Oh yeah. And next, we get Rhaenyra having a bit of a chat with a drunk Leonor Valerian.
Mm-hmm.
And
we do.
So, yeah, I mean, it obviously kind of puts into the perspective of kind of the fragile situation between the two. Obviously, neither one of them are really in love with the other.
Yeah, and it seems like Leonor's kind of just party boying it, He has no real responsibilities since he doesn't see any of the children as his own, so he's just kind of going off and doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, I really do love I kind of love the hypocrisy that comes from this scene in regards to Rhaenyra, because, just a moment ago, she was getting, pissy with Leonor when, I should have a say in what happens with my family and whatnot. And she, gives him that look, it's not really your family. And then with this scene, she's pretty much scolding him and telling him you need to do more for your family.
Yeah. Yeah. But what she really means is, you need to, uphold your end of the deal. You get to be a king, you get to fuck whatever dudes you want, but you also need to, support me. Play my husband appropriately.
Yeah, which, hey, Warman, it takes two to tango.
I mean, it's true. It's true, but I think she's on the dance floor.
I mean, there's some truth to it, but I mean, is it that hard to go without the strong dick until you get pregnant?
Well, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, they both fucked that up.
But that's more
which is just baffling to me still.
Yeah, but that's more of a Rhaenyra and strong fuck up rather than a Leonor fuck up.
I guess. But we didn't see any of it, so we don't know for sure. Maybe she tried to get Leonor to come to bed, and he was like, nah, bitch, you got too much pussy for my taste.
Maybe, but I have my doubts.
Or we could have gotten a scene in Game of Thrones when what's her name? Natalie Dormer. She eventually marries. Was she married Joffrey?
You're talking about Marjorie?
Marjorie. We could get a scene when Marjorie is trying to have sex with the gay knight, the gay flower knight, and she's like, she's trying to have sex with.
Yeah, because Renly. You're saying that Renly. She was trying to fuck her brother.
Right. I got the couple mixed up. But she's trying to fuck Renly, and she's like, I could, bend over and pretend to be my brother.
Or we could have him come in.
Yeah, we could have gotten a scene like that in this show, but no. We just have to assume.
I think I'm okay with that in that regard.
But I'm just saying, this time skip has left so many unanswered questions as far as how these characters got to be the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there was a better way to do it, but I feel like important character development moments got skipped out on.
Yeah, you probably have some point. Maybe we needed like a 5-year skip and then we get this episode or something along those lines. I mean, it depends on like where they're going to end. We haven't really yet had an episode that struck me as useless, you know? Where like I'm watching and I'm like, you could cut some stuff here, or in one way, or like, okay, that's a lie. There's a lot of stuff I would want cut from these episodes, but the episodes as a whole, in general, are very, kind of fast paced. So a lot of it is them just trying to get to the end goal by the end of this season, to where we actually get into the dance, which I think will help out immensely, because then we're not going to be jumping by years and years and years with all these time skips.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
But any other notes in regards to Rhaenyra and Leonor's situation?
So, Leonor has a line where Rhaenyra is talking to him, trying to get him to, at least pretend to be a father a little bit more. And he's trying to dip out, and he says, "The wise sailor flees the storm as it gathers." And I've gotta make the joke about the black father trying to abandon kids, right?
Oh. No comment.
I mean, like, obviously that's, a harmful stereotype, but I'm not the one who race swapped the character to then have him,
It is, like, an interesting situation, because they already changed, like, even aside from the race swap, they changed Leonor a lot from his book counterpart. Because in the books, he's not nearly as masculine as he is in the show. Because, like, he, as far as I'm aware, he didn't really take any part in fighting the pirates for the Stepstones. He was knighted right before the wedding, because they felt that the princess and future queen should marry a knight. He didn't do anything to earn it, whereas this one seems to be much more martially competent.
Yeah, he does seem to be an actual, soldier, which I appreciate. I appreciate that he's not just another flamboyant gay character. Like, they make him gay, and that's just, another aspect of his character. It's not his entire personality.
Yeah, but it is interesting that, with how much they changed him up, that they had, because in the books he's not around King's Landing at all. He pretty much just still lives on Driftmark fucking his boy toys. Occasionally he'll visit King's Landing for situations where it was expected of him, but yeah, he actually doesn't live with Rhaenyra at all, which gives more credence to the kids being bastards.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. In the books, did they not care about getting found out at all? Like, what is the plan there?
Well, that's the whole thing. In the books, it was a bit easier to pass them off as legitimate kids.
Yeah, that's true.
But with that all squared away, eventually that does lead to her pretty much commanding him, like, nah, you're staying here. Which, I wonder how many mothers wish they could do that to their husbands.
Right?
But now, we jump back over to Pentos, where we have one of the Valerian twins holding the egg to the fire, trying to get that bitch to hatch.
Yeah, and, she admits to her mother that she's insecure about not having a dragon. And then rather than try to reassure her that she's fine just as she is, or like, she doesn't need a dragon to be a Valerian or a Targaryen or whatever, her mother's like, yeah, you do kind of suck. Maybe you'll get a dragon one day and become less of a loser.
I feel like you are rewording it in a much more harsh manner than it was actually laid out.
Oh, for sure, but like, I mean, that's the gist of it. She's like she doesn't, try to offer her any advice about how to be as a person. She's just like, yeah, you gotta start working on getting a dragon.
Oh, no, hold it. Fuck off. Obviously, the scene is more so her saying, don't worry, it will come. Because, it's like, when a kid, like, if your son is trying to be, play basketball and he sucks, you don't go and says like, oh, it's okay to suck at basketball. You're special, You want to go over and say like, don't worry, you'll be able to play like a pro eventually. It's that kind of dynamic.
No,
Yeah.
it's more like your son drives a shitty beater for a car because you gave him a shitty beater when he was born, and then he's like, hey, I feel like everyone doesn't like me as much because I have a shitty car. And you're like, yeah, maybe one day you'll get a cool car and not suck so much. That's what she said. That's the metaphor right there.
I completely and utterly disagree with you.
There are some tidbits of legitimate advice. Like, I think she tells her she needs to be tenacious or something. Or yeah, she says if you want to be a writer, you must claim that right, which is at least something, I guess. But it's still like, if you want to be accepted, you need to be a writer. Like, she doesn't offer up any other routes for her daughter. She's like, you've got to get a dragon, or you're no child of mine.
I don't know. I think you are making her extra, mean-spirited in this situation.
No, she says it very genuinely and heartfelt, which almost makes it worse. Almost makes it hurt more.
I'm arguing with a brick wall here. Let's go to the situation where they talk about hearing about the new prince that was born. So even all the way out here in Pentos, Damon seems to know the cuckoldery that's going on in King's Landing.
Yeah. So clearly, fucking literally everybody knows.
So yeah, it's definitely an interesting situation. I think there's one important character, though, we have yet to see their opinion on the whole bastardy situation. Corlys.
Oh, that's true. We don't see Corlys at all in this episode.
Because, I'll be completely honest with you, the kids being bastards I don't think is incredibly important. Okay, let me rephrase that. I think in the books it's not all that important. And I think them being bastards or not, Rhaenyra would still likely have, the support in general. But there's one person who we don't really get to delve into what their thought process of it. In the books, he clearly, denies, there ain't bastards, those are my grandkids and whatnot. I'm wondering how they're going to make Corlys think of the situation. Because if
there's no doubt.
If he believes that they're legitimate, then he's a fucking moron. But if he believes they're bastards, then why the hell would he support Rhaenyra?
Yeah. Yeah, that is an important character's opinion that we have not gotten. You're correct.
So I'm wondering if they're going to delve into that later in the series. A part of me doubts it, but who knows?
I mean, they have to, right? They have to at least... I don't know. They have to do something. They can't just have him not ever mention it, right?
I don't know. Game of Thrones has disappointed me with bigger projects, so we'll see.
That's true. That's true.
So, the two continue to talk back and forth, and Daemon talks about how the only thing he seems to miss from Westeros is the wine, and he hates the amber that they drink in Pentos, apparently. And, this is a scene that exists. I don't have strong opinions of it one way or another. I think it kind of paints the picture of, Daemon lying to himself just as much as everyone else, that he has no interest of going back to Westeros along those lines. I mean, she pretty much says it out. You talk about how much you don't care, but then you spend all your time reading these books about, the dragons of the Dragon Lords of previous eras.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate summation of the scene. It's just giving more of an idea that Daemon might say that he doesn't care, but he really does want to go back, and he still kind of wants that throne.
Mm-hmm. And of course, he continues to be a bit of an asshole husband here.
Yeah, and the thing that's crazy to me about this scene is it actually seems like she likes Daemon, or liked him at some point. I'm like, God damn, how?
Well,
This dude is an asshole constantly.
Well, you have to remember, Lena is much younger than Damon. Like, I believe she's like, probably 10 to 15 years younger, give or take.
How much younger is Damon than his brother?
Not incredibly. I actually am not sure by that. 1 second. Viserys Targaryen. Hopefully I don't get the one from Game of Thrones. I got the one from Gary. Nope, here we go. Targaryen the first. So he was born in 103 AC, and his brother... Oh, those are his... they don't have brothers. So I have to do a little jumping around.
They don't have brothers?
The wiki lists, like, who... Their mother, their father, spouses, children... But they don't have a direct link to, like, brothers. And Damon...
That's crazy.
Damon actually does not have a birth year.
Oh, that's crazy.
Wait.
Mance was never born.
Wait, hold on. 81 AC? That can't be right.
Is AC counting up or down?
Counting up. So... He was born in 81 AC, and then, like, the next year would be 82 AC. What the hell? Am I looking at the wrong... Oh, that's the king. Oh, God, I was looking at his reign, not his birth. My bad. Okay.
Yeah, so Google says he's 4 years younger than his brother.
Yeah, born in 77 AC. So that was my bad. I was looking at the reign of King Viserys, not the year he was born.
See, that's why you use Google and not the wiki.
Fuck off. But anyway, so 4 years younger, which looks pretty good compared to his brother. He's aging much nicer.
Yeah. Has all his limbs and all that.
But anyways, we gotta think that, Damon is a fairly, a very Prince Charming-esque kind of character. So it's not too crazy that the young Valerian lass had hard eyes at the very beginning of their whole situation.
Yeah. So basically you're saying he groomed her.
I feel like groom is a bit of a strong word, but not inaccurate.
I mean, that's not even, like, top 10 as far as bad things that happen in Game of Thrones land.
I don't think it's the top 10. I don't think it's the top 10 worst things Damon has done so far.
No. Yeah, absolutely not. Like, I do not even think less of Damon, knowing he groomed his wife. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, of course it's Damon.
Moving on.
She was a little older when they, really met, when they first danced at the wedding. So.
Anyway. We move along to, and we've been missing these small council meetings.
Right, finally another one.
All right. So they bring up the Blackwoods and the Brackens wanting to kill each other. Yeah, that's accurate. That's just their history.
Mm-hmm.
And we also get introduced to the best character in the show, Jasper Wilde.
Yeah, and which one is Jasper? Because I saw the subtitle say Jasper, but like, I don't know, they're cutting between characters I've never seen before.
Yeah, he's not really that big of a deal. He's pretty much like, if you're looking at the table from, like, towards Viserys, he's going to be on your left, next to the Lannister and Rhaenyra.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, doesn't really matter that much, but they're talking about the Brackens and the Blackwoods, and they make it, I mean, to be fair, I feel like the Queen is right, that it's the Tully's job to make sure the Brackens and the Blackwoods don't kill each other. But Alicent's saying, like, it's big enough for us to deal with, which pretty much is just her saying, fuck you, Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And the Queen is clearly not pleased about it.
No.
And then we move on to the Stepstones, and I'm confused about the whole Stepstone situation, because Daemon obviously isn't king of it anymore. Did the Triarchy and Dorne take it over, and now that's the issue with the whole situation now? They're very vague on it, which isn't bad, but as someone who's very meticulous about that stuff, I was annoyed.
Yeah, and I'm kind of with the princess. Like, it seems a little ridiculous that no one did anything
Hmm.
about the stepstones this entire time.
Yeah, and the queen saying that they didn't have the funding in order to occupy the stepstones, I'm gonna call bullshit on that. Cause all of Westeros, like, and the stepstones are itty bitty, teeny tiny. Like
Yeah.
a better justification would be that holding onto the stepstones would risk all out war between the Triarchy and Westeros. Like that sounds like a bit more of a better justification rather than we don't have the money to do it.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make much sense. And like the princess says, the cost of war is going to be way bigger than, stationing some soldiers out on some islands.
Well, yeah, but the whole thing is my argument is that stationing soldiers out on those islands would increase the likelihood of war.
Would it?
Maybe, especially now with Dorne involved. You have the
But like,
Triarchy and Dorne.
if they had been holding the stepstones the whole time, then they wouldn't be such a vulnerable place that other factions could use to incite things.
True. True. But I feel like, that's not a very important matter in this regard, as Rhaenyra wishes to speak, and so she tries her best to make peace with Alicent. And now I think this is very interesting, because she seems to be, like, legitimately trying to make peace between their families
Mm-hmm.
by offering her son to marry Alicent's daughter, which, well, no, I'll go into like a little bit more later, but right now we're just kind of playing it all out. And I have to say, I think that Alicent's reaction makes sense with the entire situation. Because I think there's like two kind of situations with it. I think that, first off, she's insulted that she would offer a bastard to her true-born daughter. And second, I think she believes that Rhaenyra is lying through her teeth.
Really?
Yes, because that was one of the big, cruxes of, I believe, why Alicent kind of is being much more hateful towards Rhaenyra, is when she discovered that Rhaenyra lied right to her by swearing on her mother's grave or memory or whatever that she was still a maiden and whatnot. I think now she just holds anything she says in very low regard.
Yeah, but how would she lie about this? She is in front of the entire counseling making a marriage proposal.
Well, and it's a little bit kind of situation, because it is like a marriage proposal, but I think as old as the children are, it would be a betrothal, and so it would still be a while for the actual marriage to take place. And so assumably, if Viserys was to die before then, well, betrothal's off and Rhaenyra just starts chopping off the heads.
I guess so.
But even then, like, say the marriage actually, like, does go through, that doesn't necessarily save her sons Aegon and Aemond.
Maybe not, but I think it's it shows a certain amount of goodwill on Rhaenyra's behalf.
Oh, no,
that, like, if she's marrying one of her children to one of your children, I think it shows an intent to not kill your children.
Oh yeah, I completely agree, but I think Alicent does not believe that for a second.
Yeah, that's fair. Alicent might not believe that for a second.
Yeah, like I say, I'm not saying that Alicent's interpretation of it, but I think Alicent's interpretation makes sense. To a certain degree, especially with what she's seen.
And
what she's risking.
And while I agree that I can see Alicent's point of view, I feel like she has lost all tact. Like, she's become so aggressive in this episode. Like, she just fucking goes for the throat nonstop. Like, she's charging through the halls with the king after this, and is just, like, shouting about how much she hates the princess's children.
And I have to say, I'm surprised that she's so, like obvious about her hatred toward the Strongs and Rhaenyra, like, right in front of Viserys.
Yeah. Yeah, and Viserys takes it.
Like a bitch.
Like a bitch. Viserys is so much more bitch-made in this episode than he has ever been.
To be fair, like, he seems, like, just physically weaker and drained. So I think there is that aspect that kind of justifies his more ridden or whipped attitude.
Yeah, I mean, it's, like, I wrote in my notes, like, it's certainly possible, but it's just...
I do think, I do think she's kind of pushing the envelope more than it should be.
Yeah.
Alright. But, with that, Lionel Strong makes a little bit of a visit, and this pretty much cements Lionel as the most honorable dude in King's Landing.
Oh yeah, for sure, if there was any doubt.
Mm-hmm. This is Ned Stark, except a little more politically competent.
Yeah. I'll agree to that one.
But yeah, so he says, like, he wants to resign, and his reasoning is, because, his son assaulted Kristen Cole. Viserys says, that's fine, we took him off the gold cloaks. And it's really and so they're obviously putting the situation where Larry Strong just wants to, like, get out of King's Landing because, like, he knows that the kids are bastards, and he knows, like, once, like, it's found out, he's a dead man, pretty much, in one regard or another.
Mm-hmm.
But he can't straight out tell that to the king, so the king refuses to let him go.
Yeah. Which he comes up with another excuse to get out of King's Landing.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not completely fucked.
Well, he is, but...
Right, but not yet.
And not for the reasons he thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Viserys refuses to accept it. I am curious, though, if he didn't die in that fire, would he have come back to King's Landing? I think he would have.
Does he dies in the fire?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just his son.
Nope, both.
Holy shit. Yo, fucking Lionel, or not Lionel, Larys is a savage. God damn. Like, killing your brother, that's, standard medieval practice. Like, are you really a medieval sibling if you're not killing your brothers?
Especially the younger ones. They're always the more vindictive and evil.
Yeah, but killing your father? Come on.
That's low. Yeah, he's going to die anyways eventually. Wait it out.
Yeah. But back on the scene where Lionel attempts and fails to resign, at the end of the scene, when Viserys sits down, and he's like, Ellison, are you gonna help me?
And she just
fucking walks out of the room. Oh, that was a good scene. I love that. That gave me a good chuckle.
I can't help but wonder if he, like, looked to, like, Kristen or any other member of the King's Guards, like, could you hand me my blanket?
Yeah, I need my blankie. Right. I mean, so I think earlier in the scene we were seeing that, like, in front of other people, he wants to look like, he doesn't want her doting over him. But when it's just the two of them, he's like, he wants her to dote.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, who wouldn't, right? We all have that little bit of a weakness. Especially when we're that fucking old and missing an arm.
Yeah, missing an arm's rough, I assume. I don't have first-hand experience, but don't.
But with that, she apparently has, I suppose, a somewhat secret meeting with Larry's. And
not that secret. The fucking maid walks in.
Yeah, not that secret. But easily dismissed, so they're trying their best to make sure nobody's listening in and whatnot.
I mean, I think if they were trying their best, she wouldn't have walked in to begin with. So they're putting some effort into it, I suppose.
And so this is clearly establishing that Larry seems to not have a high opinion of either his father or his brother. Mostly seeming his father, as he seems to, like, you know, speak of him in ill, like, he's so honorable.
Yeah, his honor's always been a millstone about his esteemed neck. Pretty harsh words for old Lionel.
And so she pretty much is saying that she does not like Lionel as a hand because he's too good at it. The man's too honorable and too good, and she needs like her father to be hand again. To which Larry's pretty much says, like, do you think your father is capable of being, like, unbiased? And she's like, he will be biased to me, or something along to that regards. I'm paraphrasing.
He says, your father wouldn't be impartial either, and she's like, no, but he'd be partial to me.
Indeed. And so it's clearly in a situation where she's just venting out all her frustrations, and Larry's, eager to please, interprets her words in a different manner than she intended.
I don't think he interprets her words in a different manner than she intended. I think he sees an opportunity to kind of get a little control over her.
Mm-hmm.
Like he basically makes a scheme with her without her knowing, and so now she's an accomplice.
Yeah.
Kind of situation.
Kind of, though I feel like that's a little bit weak, because let's say that this backfired, and she was, like, so horrified by this that she told someone. He's fucked. So he was, like, very confident, and it even says that later in the scene, but he was very confident that she would eventually be okay with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, I don't know how well he knows her, but maybe.
I mean, he seems to be pretty clever.
He does seem pretty clever. But the thing about writing clever characters is you have to convince me they're clever. You can't just have everyone else bend around their cleverness.
Mm-hmm. Really, this is only the first episode where we kind of see him. Well, no, he had his talk with younger Allison, kind of.
Yeah, he had some moments in the last episode.
Yeah. But
he's no Littlefinger yet, though.
No, not yet. I've already seen, like, some general comparisons to... I feel like that's kind of what most fans of House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones are doing. They're just, like, taking all these characters, like, oh, they're like this one, oh, they're like this one, oh, they're like this one. Because, oh, man, I've seen so many fucking posts of Rhaenyra and Daenerys being the same character. I'm like, not really.
No, not really at all.
In the
like, that one's a serious stretch.
It's just like, you know, a surface level comparison. They look similar.
Yeah, and they're both princesses.
And that's it.
And yeah, that's about it.
But getting back to Larry Strong, however, he goes down to the dungeons and says, hey, you're all destined to be hanged, but do a little job, accept my conditions, and you can walk free. And one of those conditions is to cut off their tongues so that they cannot speak of the condition they have been given. And it was at this moment, as a book reader, I knew exactly where this was going.
Yeah, I had a pretty good idea of where it was going, as well as not a book reader. Like, if you're cutting dudes' tongues out, if you're cutting a bunch of criminals' tongues out, then you're making a kill squad. You're making Suicide Squad.
Yeah, you're not going to start a charity.
Yeah.
But that's a fairly quick scene, and we get to another birthing scene.
Another birthing scene. There's been a couple in this show.
I believe this is the third one, because we never saw Allison give birth.
We didn't ever see Allison give birth. She's too pretty for that.
And obviously, it's going very, very poorly. And, you know, not the maester, because they're in Pentos, but the doctor pretty much walks over to Damon and says, baby stuck. Only thing that we might be able to do is to do a C-section and in order to try and save the child.
Yeah. Which I was kind of curious to see like what Damon's answer was going to be, because I thought it was interesting parallel to the king's decision to kind of just see how differently his brother reacts.
Mm-hmm. Now,
but Damon just kind of seems apathetic this entire scene.
Mm-hmm. And now, we already came across the first scene that I wasn't a big fan of, which was Aegon jerking it out a window.
Yeah.
This is a scene that I am not a fan of. At all. I hate it.
I could see that.
Because there's a lot of issues I have with it. So, first off, just practicality-wise. This bitch somehow hears them talking about this C-section while she's screaming bloody murder and in the process of trying to give birth.
Mm-hmm.
Seems... But okay, she still hears them. All right. She then gets up and walks out without them noticing. Thank God she doesn't leave a trail of blood as she's getting the hell out of here. Which I'd imagine in this situation there's probably a lot more considering how bloody her dress is.
Mm-hmm.
And Daemon notices she's gone fairly quickly, but he's still unable to catch up to her because she gets to her dragon and for a long time just starts screaming Jacaris. And she does this while the child's still in her.
Yes. Yeah, I have serious doubts about her ability to walk out there.
God.
And then my other question is, like, how long, like, was Daemon trying to stop her? Like, what was Daemon doing this whole time?
I don't know. He was failing at getting to her, it seems.
I mean, because a part of me is like, he must have just let her go. Because there's no other way she could have gotten there with that much space in between him.
But the thing is, we then see him like he's like power walking, screaming her name.
I mean, he shouts it.
And then shows up just in time to see her killing herself with the baby still inside her. And, oh, what a bitch! There's still the kid inside.
Yeah, she did. I was thinking that this was going to be like a Daenerys scene where the baby somehow survives the fire. But yeah, she's kind of like, if this ship's going down, you're coming with me.
It's just a weird change. Like, there's just because here's how it was in the books. So first off, they're in Driftmark having this issue, and she does give birth to the baby. However, and I knew the baby wasn't going to survive. Like, that would have been cool if, like, from the ashes of the mother, the child was crying. Pretty sweet. But, ooh, I need to write that down for, like, a future book.
Right?
I'll give you credit for it. But anyways.
Yeah.
So she gives birth, but the kid is, like, deformed and twisted and dies not long after giving birth. And she follows not long after. I think it was like 3 days, but like as she's kind of dying, she attempts to reach her dragon in order to fly one last time, but dies on the steps to get to the dragon. Which, is sad and tragic. And I'm not saying like that is, I don't think that's amazing writing by any stretch of the means, It's, it's tragic along those lines and sad. And I think just keep that, like, just do what the book did all the way up until she died. Have it to where she makes it to the dragon. And then have the dragon torture her. Or, have it torture soon. Like, after the failed birth, it seems like it's a lost cause. Have Daemon, like, escort her over to the dragon and have this death. Like, why? Fuck off.
Yeah, I don't have any refutes. You're right, that seems pretty dumb.
I love my mom. Anyways, moving along. She didn't burn me alive. But then we get to Rhaenyra. hopping along, and we see Harwin Strong saying goodbye to his kids.
Yeah, and this scene, he just makes it blatantly obvious that he's their father.
Yeah, like, well, we can send letters to each other.
I'll return, I promise.
Dude, this
it'll be a while.
Did you ever watch King of the Hill?
I've watched an episode or two here and there.
Do you remember the character Dale?
Yeah.
Of
course.
Do you know how Dale's kid is obviously not his?
Yeah.
I'm getting like flashbacks to like this situation where Harwin's trying to kind of be a good dad, but the kids are just like, oh, what a creep.
Yeah. Yeah, only the key difference there, I would say, is King of the Hill is a comedy, and Dale is played up as a fucking idiot. Like, beyond belief, because it's a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is, I would say, more of a drama. And it's not funny when characters are just beyond belief stupid.
But at the same time, I think it is like it's a sad, like, kind of true, just like there's a justification for this stupidity because, like, let's face it, what decent father doesn't want to like stay attached with their kids?
Yeah. This wouldn't be the worst case of stupidity. But just in general, the entire thing around these kids being bastards, specifically Viserys, it's just like, come on.
Yeah, a part of me wonders if it would have been better if they just removed the bastard plotline altogether and just recasted the kids or something. I mean, I would still bitch about it because it's not accurate to the books, but I feel like this is a much bigger suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know how important the bastards were in the books, but they've got to be pretty important because at the moment they are the biggest. Other than being a woman, they are the biggest,
threat
dig against. Yeah, well, dig against Rhaenyra being the next ruler.
Mm-hmm. Right,
like she's now a woman. And she is now sired exclusively bastards.
Like, I can't say that the whole bastardy, because that's the whole thing. It is brought up in the books and it is mentioned like quite a bit, but because there is a level of reasonable doubt, then it's not that massive a deal. There's no reasonable doubt here. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So it should be a much bigger deal. But
yeah, which, I mean, it is. It's kind of the driving force of this, like, entire fucking episode.
With that said, we've been beating this dead horse for a while. I think everyone listening is well aware our thoughts on this. So, let's just put on some sunglasses and pretend that that's how they look. And so pretty much after he's saying, like, goodbye to everyone and he gives, like, a little loving look at Rhaenyra, after he leaves, the eldest, which it is the eldest, you can tell because his hair's not nearly as curly, pretty much just looks to his mom and says, "Am I a bastard?" To which she doesn't say no. She just says, "You are a Targaryen." Like, that wasn't disputed. Am I a bastard?
Yeah, like, we all know who their mother is.
Like, can you say, yes, I'm a bastard without saying I'm a bastard?
Yeah. Like, where was all that good lying you were doing in the last episode? Bring back I want the princess to lie some more.
And then we get Leonor dueling with his newest boy toy.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a little bit of a chit-chat with Rhaenyra. And I guess there's like some of the easing of the tension between the two as she decides it's time to head off to Dragonstone.
Yeah.
And I love how he's like against leaving King's Landing to a certain extent. And it seems like his motivation is because he wants to keep his boy toy.
I guess I could see a little bit of that.
I mean,
I don't think he's not that against it.
Maybe
for the most part.
Maybe I am misremembering because it just seemed like he was a little bit disappointed until she said that he could bring her.
He definitely He definitely gets excited. Yeah, you're right. He looks back at him and then says, "What of your position? You've always said if you're absent from court, she'll pour honey in your father's ear." So you're absolutely correct. I didn't pick up on that.
And then she says, "Bring him," and he just looks like a kid in a candy shop. But now, after all that, we're moving to probably the most tragic scene in the episode, as at least one great man has lost his life.
And the scene starts with like carriages on the road, and then Lionel and Harwin are just riding on horses.
Yes.
They're the lords, right?
Yes.
Why are they not in the carriage?
Usually, I'd imagine maybe the carriages are for supplies.
I mean, maybe.
I mean, I don't know, because I'm kind of thinking...
That's a supply carriage. I could see that.
I'm kind of, like, thinking back, like, to the books. Like, I don't know about actual, like, kind of historical accuracy, but thinking back to the books, I think, like, carriages were mostly for, like, you know, women and those who are, like, a bit too unhealthy or unwell to ride a horse. But I think, like, for the most part, like, the Westerosi culture don't take it so far as the Dothraki to say anyone who can't ride a horse is fucking disgusting. But I think there is a bit of that kind of, like, macho masculinity, like, you know, a real man rides a horse rather than a carriage.
Fair enough.
But that's just me assuming. I'll be honest, the customs of carriage riding are not something that I've dug into in A Song of Ice and Fire.
And so we see the tongueless boys looking at him ominously.
And we cut to sleeping, Larry Strong. And then the smoke arises. We hear Harwin screaming as the fire is scorching him. And Larry's does his best to try and save him, but it's not enough. But yes, unless they changed it, which I would be surprised if they did because I don't see much of a justification, but Larry's and Harwin both die.
Also, his name's Lionel.
Fuck! George, I need you to change some of these fucking names.
Yeah, there's too many L names.
You know what?
There's like a dozen L names in this show alone.
You know what? No, I'm being an incredible hypocrite by saying that because I would make fun of some of the change of... Remember Yara Greyjoy from the original?
Yara Greyjoy. She was the dyke, right?
Theon's sister, yes.
I believe my description was accurate.
So in the books, her real name is Asha. Asha Greyjoy instead of Yara Greyjoy. And the reason they changed it was because they were worried that Asha sounded too similar to Osha, the wildling, who took care of Bran.
I'll be honest, I didn't know the wildling who took care of Bran's name. And I also didn't know that she was named after the, government organization in charge of maintaining safe work environments.
Oh, I had no idea that's what it was called.
OSHA? You never heard of OSHA?
I don't employ people that much, so I don't need to worry about a good work environment.
Employ people. You work in environments, so you should want those to be safe, I would think.
Some danger builds character. But then we kind of get like different cuts throughout not throughout all of Westeros, but for scenes as Larry Strong is pretty much telling the queen, yeah, I killed my dad and my brother.
Yeah.
We see, Rhaenyra and her family and supporters moving into Dragonstone. We see Viserys messing with his Lego set. And
no, he's messing with his first wife's ring there. Isn't he?
Yeah, I was actually about to ask. I'm a little confused because, like, he's kind of, like, looking at the ring he's holding. And then he slips it on. And then he, like, leans in. Is he, like... kissing it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's just, missing simpler times.
Mm-hmm. Then he watches a rat.
Yeah, which they keep showing rats around him. And I'm not getting it. Like, is it because he's sick? And the rats are kind of like a symbol of his sickness?
So, it's foreshadowing. And it's foreshadowing I'm not exactly thrilled about.
Was he get eaten by rats?
No. But let's just say
right.
that mouse and cheese is going to be important eventually.
They haven't shown any cheese, though. It's just been rats.
Well, no, like, there's some cheese over by the mouse, isn't there?
Is there?
Like, I feel like if you have the rat, it's going for the cheese.
What? Was there cheese on the fireplace mantle?
Oh, no, those are candles. Never mind.
Yeah, those are candles.
Anyway, I think it's foreshadowing the same thing. Which, obviously, I can't really go into detail about that. You'll have to wait, which probably isn't even going to be happening this season.
Fantastic.
But
and then we get to see the burnt down ass fort.
Yeah, of Harrenhal, as they start bringing out the corpses, and you have the guys who started it just kind of making sure to see the bodies, so that way they know they're dead, confirming your kill and whatnot.
Yeah, it's not a lot of confirming to be done when the body's just like a charred, like you can't recognize that body.
Mm-hmm. And then we see the children crying about the death of their mother, and Damon is not exactly the best at consoling them.
No, he's just kind of standing there like, ugh, awkward.
Right? And then we finally get Larry Strong, and the Queen's reaction, just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, she's like, I'm standing next to a fucking psychopath.
Mm-hmm. So, here's a little bit of an interesting thing from the book you might like. So, in the books, obviously, the two Strongs do die in a fire. However, we don't know what caused the fire. And there are a lot of theories, I don't know about fan theories, but theories written in the book that come to mind from those who are telling their story. One of them is, of course, Larry Strong being responsible. After all, the death of his father and brother makes him the new Lord of Harrenhal. Another option was Corlys Velaryon, because he wanted to kill the man who had been cucking his son.
That makes sense.
Another one is Viserys, who actually believed the rumors and wanted to kill the man who was responsible for dishonoring his family in such a manner.
The Viserys in this show is clearly not capable of such an act.
Agreed. And the last two are just it was a legit accident and the Curse of Harrenhal.
I mean, the Curse of Harrenhal applies no matter what, right?
Yeah. So I guess you could still blame the Curse of Harrenhal.
Yeah.
And so she's clearly this isn't how I meant. There were clearly better ways. And this pretty much confirms, I believe, the death of the father. Because one of the big whole situations was she wants her father, Otto Hightower, to be back as Hand of the King.
Yeah, but is Otto Hightower next up for Hand of the King?
I mean, he's a good option. He's not. It's not guaranteed. But
I would say he's not a good option for the exact same reason he was dismissed. Nothing's really changed since then.
Right, but think of it kind of Viserys' whole situation. Do you think Viserys is stupid enough?
I mean, Viserys at this point in the show is stupid enough to do anything.
There you go.
He could literally just have a scene where he's like eating his own shit, and I'd be like, okay, it's Viserys.
I wonder if they're going to kind of delve into that whole situation a bit. Like, how much time is going to be skipped over in the next episode? Will we see, like, Viserys considering a lot of people to be Hand, or is it just going to jump and Otto's back in King's Landing as the Hand? Because I do think... Because in the books, he does... Oh, wait. Would that be spoiling?
I don't know, I think telling me Otto's going to be the next Hand is kind of spoiling.
So I kind of already did it, huh?
Kinda.
To be fair, in the books, it's... There are other people considered to be Hand, but by the end of it, Viserys does decide to pick Otto Hightower due to familiarity, as well as Otto generally being a decent Hand. I will say, though, that with show Viserys, it's different, because that's the whole thing. Book Viserys was a bit more ignorant in regards to Otto's personal wants. And the reason why he removed Otto Hightower as Hand was because he vexed the king so much about switching Aegon. Like, Viserys just gets annoyed with him constantly bugging him. He's like, you're fired! It's seeming to have less to do with, like, Otto's actual motivations, and more so he was just annoying.
Huh.
But I do think that with show Viserys, they need to delve into it a bit more as far as justifying Otto being named as Hand.
Yeah. Yeah, they would need to come up with a pretty damn good fucking justification. Oh, you know what? The fucking preview for the next episode spoils it.
Okay, I don't have to feel as bad then.
Because I normally don't watch the previews for the next episode because of that reason. Because they always have fucking... I mean, that's what it is. It's just a spoiler. The entire preview. But, it was playing while we were talking. Because, the episode ended.
Right. Because that's pretty much it. We have gone through the entire episode.
Yep.
So, yeah, as I stated before, I think I am just growing more and more frustrated with the show being both amazing and absolute shite. Granted, it's more amazing than shite, but the shite drastically decreases like a lot of the amazing moments for me.
Yeah, I would just like to end an episode and not have like a sour taste in my mouth at the end. Like there's always something that just sours the entire experience for me a little bit. Like it's still generally positive, but it could be so much better.
Any last words that you'd like to end out?
No, I was trying to think of something funny, like like I could be like wubba lubba dub dub, but Rick and Morty's kinda, yeah.
Well, as always, thank you very much, DJ Fella, for joining me. It's nice to have someone I can vent to, quote unquote, personally about all this. And to everyone watching, have a good night.